That's funny. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call the Committee of the Whole to order for Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. If you will all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and good evening, everyone. Mr. Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, we have to get the recorder set up. This is not working again.
That's fine. Just let me know when you're ready to go, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, if you will call the roll.
Alderman Cox.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams. Here. Alderman Rockford.
Present.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Destriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Chair will entertain a motion to recess the Committee of the Whole and open up the public hearing on fiscal year 2026 annual budget appropriation ordinance. Is there a motion to second? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing is now open. Mr. Corporation Counsel, is this the appropriate time to ask any member of the public if they have any comments at the public hearing?
Yes, that's correct. This is only for the budget. Those that signed up for public comment for the committee meeting will speak when we resume that meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Corporation Counsel. Any member of the public wish to address the council regarding the budget specifically at the public hearing? Going once, going twice. Hearing none. Any member of the council wish to address the budget appropriation ordinance at this public hearing? As a reminder, we will indeed, after the public hearing, reconvene the committee in which we will hear the ordinance that will theoretically be sent on to the special council meeting thereafter. Any council member have any comments? Alderman Gregory.
My only comments, and would this be the appropriate time to ask about our 90% versus our 100%?
I think it would be certainly appropriate. Alderman?
All right. Ms. Metzger, can you educate me? I know you sent an email, and I'm just trying to learn this. The difference between our 100% funding and our 90% funding of the pension?
The dollar value?
Correct.
Okay. So with a 90.
Could you please use the microphone? Third time's a charm, right? Maybe not.
Okay, for 90% funding, the fire contribution would be 15.6 million, and at 100%, 18.7 million. And for police, at 90%, it's 15.77 million, and at 100%, it's 19.2 million, for a difference of fire, an increase of 3.1 million, police 3.4 million increase, and a total increase of 6.55 million.
Okay, thank you. And I'm looking at the projections. So the 2027 one, it was cut off. What would we be at 100% if we was at 2027? If we didn't do anything?
Oh, at 2026 or 2027?
2027, I see 2026 will be 21.3.
At 100% funding for 2027, our estimate in a worst-case expense and a conservative revenue would be at 14.6 million, or a 7.7% fund balance. At 90% funding, we're looking at 27.9 million in ending fund balance and 15.2% of fund balance as a percentage of expenditures.
Okay, thank you. And per our last year's audit, are we going to make an extra pension payment, or did we end? Okay.
Yes, we did.
And we won't know that whether or not we're going to make it this year, so to speak, until the next one. Correct. All right.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything further, Alderman Gregory?
No, sir. Thank you.
Good questions. Thank you, Director. Any further questions from the council? Any further questions from the council? Any further comments from the council? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the public hearing is adjourned. Now the chair will reconvene the meeting of the Committee of the Whole. First item on the agenda, the fifth item on the agenda is the approval of committee meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the committee meeting minutes?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. There are no presentations this evening. Ordinances for committee consideration. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first ordinance is CWLP is 2025-069, an ordinance approving a third one-year contract extension authorizing additional funding in the amount not to exceed $400,000 for contract number UE 22-01-78, maintenance and repair of heavy equipment at Dolman Power Plant Complex with Roland Machinery Company for a total amount payable of $1,500,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, 2025-070 is an ordinance accepting bid and authorizing the execution of a contract UE 25-10-35 explosive blasting for the Dolman Power Plant, 3 years with Rocky Mountain Specialty Services LLC, in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-071, an ordinance authorizing professional services agreement with Karen Jennings for assistance with the accounting aspect of the ERP upgrade and training within the Utilities Accounting Division for the amount not to exceed $30,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-072, an ordinance approving professional services agreement with Hanson Professional Services, Inc. for engineering design services, relocate the water main in relation to the railroad consolidation in the amount not to exceed $43,300 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Second.
A motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion from the council? Any discussion of the committee? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-073, an ordinance authorizing payment of membership dues to American Public Power Association in the amount of $54,899.57 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Motion by Alderman Rockford, seconded by Alderman Hanover for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-074, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of inventory items for the Unit 4 pulverizer from Wood Group USA, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $96,474 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-075, an ordinance approving 11 separate recreational leases with various tenants for a one-year term for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent. Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-076, an ordinance approving 6 separate residential leases with various tenants for a one-year term for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent. Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion from the council committee? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-077, an ordinance approving 27 separate farm leases with various tenants for one-year term for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Public Works, 2025-078, an ordinance accepting the right-of-way for the utility easement on Bradfordton Road conveyed from the Board of Trustees of Southern Illinois University Memorial Medical Center, DBA Springfield Memorial Hospital, and Jacob C. Herms Farm.
Move consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this ordinance? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-079, a resolution authorizing the execution of a letter of understanding between the City of Springfield, the State of Illinois, for milling and resurfacing of Illinois 4 Veterans Parkway from Greenbrier Drive to Prairie Crossing Drive for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-080, an ordinance authorizing construction engineering agreement between the City of Springfield and Martin Engineering Company for professional services for engineering, drainage, and roadway improvements for Linhart Road from Isles Avenue to the city limits, 1,700 feet south of Jacksonville Road, for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent. Mr. Chair,
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Alderman Hanauer.
could you add me as a co-sponsor, please?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? The motion was for the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-081, an ordinance authorizing the increase of contract RFP PW 2422 with P.H. Broughton and Sons to provide supplemental snow removal in the amount not to exceed $95,850 for the Office of Public Works.
Move consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion from the committee? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-082, an ordinance authorizing amendment number 1 to professional services agreement with WHKS and Company for the additional design engineering services on Wheeler Avenue for the road and the drainage improvements in the amount of $59,451 and for a total amount not to exceed $136,325 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-083, an ordinance authorizing execution of a construction engineering agreement and payment in the amount not to exceed $140,033.50 to WHKS and Company for the Wheeler Avenue Road and drainage improvements in the amount not to exceed $140,033.50 for the Office of Public Works.
Move consent.
Second.
A motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion on this ordinance? Any discussion? Any discussion from the committee? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-084, an ordinance authorizing joint purchase of CityWorks Enterprise License Agreement and maintenance of Aztec Systems LLC from April 15th, 2025 through April 14th, 2026 for the Offices of Public Works and Public Utilities in the amount not to exceed $182,310.
Move consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-085, an ordinance authorizing 2-year contract with Habitat for Humanity pursuant to the RFP number PW 2552 for large item pickup program in the amount not to exceed $510,000 for the Office of Public Works.
Move consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Alderwoman Notrano.
Thank you, Chair. I noticed that the Habitat for Humanity was the low bidder, but I did not see the other bids or a bid sheet. So if we could get that emailed and then I'll also post it so the public can see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure staff handles that, please.
Did you get that, Director? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from Habitat
Yes.
here tonight? Would you mind coming up just for a minute?
We have a member of our staff as well.
Wonderful. Thank you
evening.
so much. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I am Robert Fair. I am the Executive Director at Habitat for Humanity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming up. I just wanted to talk to you briefly. I've gotten not complaints, but concerns from people about how this program is promoted. so that people can understand sort of the difference between the two functions that Habitat does.
Sure.
I know and I've had a lot of people tell me that they kind of assumed that if they put something out to the bulky item, but it was actually usable, that you would then take it and take it to resale. But I understand that's not the case. Is that correct?
We have two systems that we, for Habitat. We have a donation service, which we do that right now all over the phone. And large item pickup is handled on our website and over the phone. We have noticed that there has been some confusion because we have had people call us in saying, oh, that chair was great and we meant to donate it. We are working on ways to update our website to have more specific language on what the donation process looks like and what the disposal process looks like. Going forward, we're planning on hopefully having a portal for donations to be online as well.
Okay.
So hopefully, with some more information, we will have less confusion, but we are aware of that has been
Wonderful.
a problem for sure.
Thank you. I'm glad you're aware of it. I assumed you probably were. I would just ask.
Yeah, we're always looking for donations, so we don't want them to go to
Right.
the disposal sites at all.
Yeah, and I think if we just have better communication around the differences between those two, and people can understand also that, like, those donations don't count towards your bulky item collection.
Sure.
And really encourage people, if it's something that can be reused, send it that route. I'd really appreciate it if, you know, whatever outreach or education you start to develop, if you just get back to us and let us know, and I'm sure we'd all be happy to promote any information you have and make sure that people kind of reduce that confusion and send, you know, divert as much as we can from the landfill and into your shop.
Sure, absolutely. We would appreciate all the help that we can get as well, and happy to work with the council on any sort of
That'd be great.
promotions and update you on what we are doing on our end to make sure donations are not being mixed up. Trust me, that is not something we want either at the Restore.
Well, I mean, I've gotten some fabulous furniture from you guys, so we always go out there and check
That's a
first.
call.
I go out there first, that's my first stop for anything, but.
We'll be
and-
there.
And it's a wonderful service, so we appreciate it, but, yeah, just to kind of not cross the lines as much and make sure there's clear communication would be wonderful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wonderful, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anything further, Alderwoman?
Nope, that was, I think.
Actually, I just wanted to let all of you guys know.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. I mean, I do know most of you guys. Christina LaRusso, Division Manager for Waste and Recycling. Whenever I do an event, Earth Fair, last fall we did Fall Fest and the Pumpkin Smash. Whenever I do an event, I invite my vendors. Whether I invite BLH, Habitat, they're always there. So your residents, when they come to my event, they will always get flyers, any kind of brochures that I have about my programs, whatever everybody else does, they'll be able to get information as well.
Wonderful.
And they can always call Public Works, find out what they need to find out from us.
Wonderful, thank you very much, we appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you. Anything further, Alderwoman?
No, that was it, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The motion on the motion on the agenda is for the consent agenda for item number 2025-085. Any further discussion, any further discussion, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-086, an ordinance accepting lowest responsible bid and authorizing execution of a contract number PW 25-11-53 with Rayhan Brothers, Inc., DBA Sangamo Construction for the Wheeler Avenue improvements in the amount not to exceed $1,020,087.14 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman.
Mr. Chair, if the director, I just want to confirm, we're going to be doing a lot here with Wheeler. So this is there's been no change that we're going to start at Adams and go to Cook on Wheeler, correct? For this particular ordinance here,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and no changes. Thank
Not
you.
that I'm aware of, no.
I just wanted you on record. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Anything further? Anything further, Director?
No.
Okay, the motion is for the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
2020 Ready?
Yes.
2025-087, an ordinance accepting lowest responsible bid and authorizing execution contract PW 25-12-57 with Rayhan Brothers and Sangamo Electric Construction for the Linhart Road improvements in the amount not to exceed $1,107,913.31 for the Office of Public Works.
Move for consent and add me as a co-sponsor, please.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Alderman Hanauer requests to be a co-sponsor. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-088 is an ordinance authorizing renewal of a small government term enterprise license agreement and maintenance agreement from ERSI Environmental Systems Research Institute, Inc., from July 25th, 2025 through July 28th, 2028, in the amount not to exceed $270,900 for the Office of Public Works, Office of Planning and Economic Development, and the Office of Public Utilities.
Move consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
General City Business, 2025-089, an ordinance approving the appointment of Daniel Chung to the Springfield Community Relations Commission.
Move for debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for the debate agenda. Is Mr. Chung here this evening? Yes. Want to come up and say a few words? Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Danny Chung, and, well, thank you, Mayor Busher, for considering me for this appointment. And I'm a Springfield resident, have been since 2023, and I live in the Hunting Meadows neighborhood in South Springfield. And I usually spend my time and talent volunteering at various organizations around here, and I've really loved being here, volunteering here, and just living here, being part of the community. And happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Any questions? Any questions from the council? Mr. Chung, thank you for your willingness to serve. And seeing no further questions, the motion is for the debate agenda for next week. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
2025-090, an ordinance approving the appointment of Kenneth M. Yogers to the Civil Service Commission.
Move for debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for the debate agenda. Mr. Yogers, will you please approach the podium?
Hello, I'm Ken Yogurst, and I grew up in Springfield most of my life and worked for the city and the Air Guard. And I hope with your consideration, I can work for the city again and serve the city of Springfield. Any questions?
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
Boy, the things I could ask.
Let's get the haircut.
Mr. Yogers, thank you for your interest in
My
serving
former
on the Civil
bosses are over
Service.
there, so I don't know if that's good or bad. Anyway, have a good night. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to this evening. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of Mr. Yogers for the debate agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-091, an ordinance approving the appointment of C.J. Metcalf as a general public representative to the Springfield Convention and Visitors Advisory Board.
Move for debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for the debate agenda. Mr. Metcalf, will you please approach the podium and say a few words for us, please?
Thank you
Introduce
very
yourself.
much. It's a pleasure to be here before this very august body. Appreciate the opportunity for the appointment and hopefully to serve. I lived in Springfield and/or surrounding communities since 1999. Served on a couple other public bodies, Park Board, Water Reclamation District, and look forward to this opportunity. I live in beautiful Ward 9, Harrison Park, and I just appreciate the opportunity to speak before everyone and potentially serve. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments, guidance, or any other words of wisdom. So,
Any questions for Mr. Metcalf? CJ, thank you for your willingness to serve. Good luck to you.
thank you all.
All those in favor of the debate agenda for Mr. Metcalf signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-092, an ordinance approving the appointment of Joanna Judge as the Deputy City Clerk.
Motion for debate. I wanted to
Second.
consent it, but
Yeah.
it's all right.
A motion and a second for the debate agenda. Any discussion from the council? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Congratulations.
She's hiding back there.
No congratulations yet. We gotta wait till next week.
2025-093, an ordinance authorizing the city of Springfield to enter into a forbearance and settlement agreement with Heartland Bank and Children's Museum Foundation.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion on agenda item 2025-093? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-094, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a proposal under RFP CS 19-29 and execution of an agreement with Vinegar Hill Neighborhood Association for the purchase of city-owned property consisting of one vacant lot located at 825 South College Street in the amount of $500 for the Office of Budget and Management.
Move consent.
Second.
A motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-095, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of a proposal under RFP CS 19-29 and execution of an agreement with Glenn Udall for the purchase of city-owned property consisting of one vacant lot located at 1417 Washington Street in the amount of $500 for the Office of Budget Management.
Motion for consent.
Second.
A motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion on agenda item number 2025-095? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
2025-096, an annual appropriation ordinance of the City of Springfield, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning March 1, 2025 and ending February 28, 2026.
Motion for debate.
Second.
Motion and a second for the debate agenda, and I know there are several amendments.
Do we do those now, or we do those at the special meeting?
The amendments should go now,
Okay.
and then it will go as amended to the special meeting.
Okay, thank you. Good question. Alderman, you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, just going down the list, I would ask that either the budget staff or corporation counsel walk us through the amendments and we vote on each one independently. The first amendment, according to my sheet, is technical amendment number 1. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 1?
Second.
Motion and a second. Staff, will you please describe?
Who made the motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
Okay, technical amendment number 1.
That is. Technical amendment number 1 is a reclassification. Technical amendment number 1 is a reclassification for object lines for reporting for the way that community development block grants and other HUD grants are being paid directly to the developer instead of awarded to the homeowner. So the taxability is different. So the 1099 goes to the construction company or to the person who's doing the work. So it's a non-employment compensation.
Thank
So
you.
that's all it is a reclassification. It's a zero effect.
Thank you. Any further discussion, any further questions of the director? Alderman Gregory.
So just, thank you, Director Metzger. So just for clarification, so now that if there is any tax liability, it would be going to the contractor? I guess I'm trying to ask, is this going to
Correct.
make things easier for us, we think?
Yes, it will.
All right, thank you, appreciate you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further questions?
No, sir.
Any further questions on technical amendment number 1? The motion is to adopt a technical amendment number 1. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 2, Ms. Metzger. Mrs. Metzger.
Okay. A portion of the traffic preemption system was paid in fiscal year '25, so we are taking $180,000 out of fiscal year '26 because it's going to have been paid in '25. So it reduces the '26 budget by $180,000.
A reduction. Any questions?
Do we
Alderman
make a
Hanauer.
I make a motion, we adopt Tech 2.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt technical amendment number 2. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting technical amendment number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 3. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 3?
So move.
Motion and a second. Mrs. Metzger, could you please describe technical amendment number 3 for the committee?
Yes. Technical amendment number 3 is for $635,000, and it is a barricade system to block streets and reduce the risk of vehicular attacks.
Okay, I see that a couple alderpersons have signed up. Alderman Gregory, you are first.
Yes, I think this is a wonderful idea. Of course, we've seen what happened down in various cities with vehicles running through parades and protesting. I think this is a wonderful idea. Ms. Metzger, my only question is, what is it in? It's in red for what reason? It's coded in red on this sheet. Does it?
It's a reduction.
Okay.
Right.
It's in red on one line and then it's in black. So we're adding this to the police budget. Would I be correct?
It has a negative effect on the fund balance. So those in red are, like the Tech 2 should be a 2-year fund balance effect of 0 and a fund balance usage in FY26 of 0.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything further, Alderman?
No, sir.
Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I guess I'm going to start a little fight between Public Works and the police department, but why? Public Works usually does all the barricades and that. I feel like in this, there's a $70-something thousand truck. If it goes under Public Works and they're the ones that deploy the barricades, they've got plenty of trucks that can pull the trailer or whatever. Why is this under the police versus Public Works, I guess is my question.
Chief, looks like you've been drafted.
Well, I guess it's under police because we thought of it and put it in here, I guess. Hey, listen, this is, we've seen what's happened across the world for lack of a better term, as far as how a vehicle can be used in a terroristic manner. And as many festivals and activities that we have in our community, we feel it's important to protect our citizens, whether it be parades or whatever the case may be. And to your point, Alderman, this is not just to necessarily prevent intentional attacks. It can also be used for Public Works. In fact, Director Brown and I had a conversation about how some of his crew were actually working, and there was a crash that involved actually striking his people or the equipment because of the work they were doing on the street. So to me, this serves many purposes. In fact, the fire department was out fighting a fire on South 6th. Imagine if we had these that we could easily deploy to prevent just accidents from happening. We know that orange cones don't stop large vehicles from crashing.
And Chief, I'm not against this. I'm just questioning where, who's going to be deploying them? To me, it makes more sense that Public Works does that work rather than our officers. I don't know what's involved in it. I do agree that with everything that we've seen in New Orleans, especially, it's something that we. I think we're better served to have it. It's just a question of logistics, and I guess we can put it in the budget, and then that's a fight that we can deal with when it comes time to purchase. And I guess we got to get the logistics down prior to that.
I wouldn't take up a fight over it. If you want to put it in Public Works budget, I think that'd be just fine. I have no problem. It is a valuable tool. I think it's important that we, look at purchasing this and having this available for our citizens. So.
Thank you, Chief.
Director Fuchs is back there shaking his head. So
Any further questions, Alderman Hanauer?
No, thank you.
Just a reminder that adding monies to the budget does not necessarily mean, such as this, that we are purchasing the items this evening. That just adds budgetary authority. They will have to come back and obviously present a proposal and ordinance to the council. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Chief, I appreciate you trying to leave. Just quick questions, and I know you probably don't have this sorted out yet, but in terms of like someone's scheduling a protest or a rally downtown, Do you envision this will be something that the city will provide at no charge to those organizers? Will they be reaching out to wherever this ends up, deploying them? Have you looked into that yet? Kind of how we'll be doing those requests?
I think that's an ongoing conversation that we need to continue to have as far as how the city is going to charge various entities, whether it's a protest group or a group holding a run or whatever the case may be. That's certainly something that needs to be discussed, yeah.
Thank you. I think it's a great purchase. I think we absolutely, having the state capitol in town, there are quite reasonably a fair amount of protests, and we want to make sure that everyone has the right to say their mind, speak their mind, and be protected. So I'm encouraged to see this coming to the city, but I think I would ask that we have some clear guidance so that we can share that with our residents on how they'll be used, and if someone is scheduling, wants to schedule a larger scale event, what steps do they take to make sure that these sorts of tools are available to them. So once we get around to that conversation.
Sounds good.
I appreciate it. And then do you know what the timeline is for purchase and delivery?
10 weeks out is what they're saying right now. There, as you can imagine, a lot of cities that are looking to purchase this type of equipment, so
Okay.
they're about
Thank
10
you very
weeks out.
much.
Anything further, Alderman?
No, thank you.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you for the question, Alderwoman Conley. So Chief, two questions. Do we have to have that F-250? Don't we have some trucks that can pull that thing?
We do. I'm not sure you're getting out of my bailiwick when it comes to the size of a vehicle, so that's something that I'd have to do some checking on.
Okay.
The idea is that we had a dedicated vehicle available at all times to be able to haul this out. Obviously, it does us no good if we have trailers with the equipment and don't have a vehicle available. So that's the only thing that we were thinking.
Okay. Now, are these separate things? I mean, when I looked at the picture, it was sort of wide. Can we break them down if you don't need them? Okay.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can break them down, I believe, 24 inches.
Okay.
All the way out to, 5 lanes of traffic if you want.
Absolutely.
And they just connect to one another through cotter pins.
Okay. And are these, so in general, for parades or things of that nature, we do charge a little something, I do believe, from my experience running some things. So we technically use our cars and stuff to block off traffic and stuff at times now. And I think I would say that's all factored into the cost. So when we deploy these, I wouldn't think it'd be an extra cost. It would just be part of our, whatever we're going to charge them to, provide that service.
So depending on the events, there's typically charges from the police department, which would cover overtime of officers' use, and then there are charges from Public Works, which would cover barricade usage and that sort of thing. So I guess depending on, who's deploying them would determine how all that's going to play out.
All right. I appreciate you. Just general questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Williams.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Chair, I think I'm gonna hold my question until we actually work some internal things out with deployment and which department.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Any further questions of the chief while he's up here? Any further comments on the ordinance? The technical amendment number 3? Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption of technical amendment number 3, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 4. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 4?
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt technical amendment number 4. Mrs. Metzger, could you please explain technical amendment number 4?
The expense for the council upgrade is being incurred in fiscal year '25, so it's a reduction with this amendment to fiscal year '26.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of technical amendment number 4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 5. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 5?
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt technical amendment number 5. Mrs. Metzger, could you please describe the amendment?
The commercial casualty insurance, there was an additional increase of $2,900, and so that was added into fiscal year '26. So the adjustments for $2,900 increase to the fiscal year '26 budget.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 9. I have no 6.
It's down below here.
Here we are out of order. It's in the library fund, technical amendment number 6. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 6 from the library fund?
So moved.
Motion and a second to adopt technical amendment number 6. Mrs. Metzger, could you please describe the amendment?
Yes, the bookmobile was originally expected in fiscal year '24, then fiscal year '25, and a production issue has delayed it further. It's now expected in the summer of fiscal year '26. So it is moving the expense into fiscal year '26. At the time the budget was prepared, we thought it was going to be received in December.
Thank you. Any comments, any questions about the bookmobile and the movement of the expenditure? Hearing none.
Do we know what the delay is?
Do we know what the delay is? Can someone describe the delay? Is the director here or Mrs. Metzger? There she is, hiding in the back. Nice try. And I know she's not happy about it.
Good evening. I actually put on my big girl pants and sent a very stern email to Farber. I said, we've been waiting for this thing since '23. And there's been repeated delays and excuses. And I just said, we can't do this. We can't. I said to them, this is not a way to conduct good business. And so he sent back a letter that he apologized. He owned it, and he's telling me that this summer, we should have it this summer. I've just never seen anything like it. I've just never experienced anything like it. They said they had it on a drive. They had it on a drive, and it was pulling to one side. And so they had to take it back to the shop to get that fixed. They said they had to get the undercoating done. One time it was brackets for the seats. It's just one thing after another. So that's what they're telling me. This is where we're at. I did send them a stern email today, and so I'm hoping that it comes.
It will.
Yeah, we're preparing for it, though. In the meantime, we're getting prepared for it, so
It'll be a full-blown party when it gets here.
you better believe it.
Thank you, Director. Alderman
Thank you.
Rockford.
Yes, so is this additional funding, or is this the total amount for the,
It's the total amount. It's been carried forward each year.
okay, so it's just being carried over?
Right, we thought it was going to be paid for in fiscal year
Right.
'25.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further questions? Any further comments on technical amendment number 6? Hearing none. All those in favor, Mr. Clerk, do we have a motion and a second?
Yes.
All those in favor of adopting a technical amendment number 6, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 7. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 7?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt technical amendment number 7. Mrs. Metzger and/or Mr. Dahl, will you describe technical amendment number 7?
This past month, in February, there was a $300,000 Tourism Route 66 grant that was approved via ordinance, and that will need to be included in the expense and revenue of fiscal year '26. So since it just happened here at the end of fiscal year '25, it was not in the original budget.
Thank you, Mrs. Metzger. Any comments or questions on technical amendment number 7? Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption of technical amendment number 7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 8. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 8?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Mrs. Metzger, could you please describe technical amendment number 8, which deals with the Capital Improvement Fund 95?
So as we have gone through the budget, it was realized that the grant revenue was not included in the original budget for public works grants. So this includes that grant revenue.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
And also the expense revenue, which, oh, never mind, that had no change.
Any comments from the committee? Any comments from the committee? Any questions from the committee? Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption of technical amendment number 8 signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Technical amendment number 9. Is there a motion to adopt technical amendment number 9?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Mrs. Metzger, could you please describe technical amendment number 9?
Yes, it is an addition of 6 patrol unit vehicles to replace decommissioned vehicles from fiscal year '25 and to help with the replenishment goals for the Springfield Police Department. And it is for a total of $360,000, and it will be recorded to the corporate fund in the police department.
Thank you for that explanation.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
There has been a motion to adopt. Any further comments, questions on technical amendment number 9? Hearing none, all those in favor of technical amendment number 9, easy for me to say, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Moving along, we're going to call it regular amendment number 1, which deals, it says, from the full council. Mrs. Metzger, before we get to your explanation, is there a motion to adopt regular amendment number 1?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Mrs. Metzger, if you could please describe this amendment.
This is a position change in the council coordinators department, and it is all in personnel lines.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adoption of regular amendment number 1, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't get the motion.
There was a motion to adopt technical amendment number 1 by
10 and
10. Who was the second?
2.
2.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that suffice, Mr. Corporation Counsel?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Moving along to regular amendment number 2 by Alderman Gregory. Is there a motion to adopt regular amendment number 2?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mrs. Metzger and/or Alderman Gregory, could you please explain regular amendment number 2?
Yes, I put in, from a conversation, some funding to repair, I guess what we need to figure out is the sign in Southtown. It's been, this is something I've been trying to get fixed for some time. At one point in time, we were thinking that it was public works property, and it's not. So I had requested to take that out of our beautification fund, plus a fence over there that needs to be repaired. So I guess my question to Corporation Counsel is, who owns the sign? I know we own it, but who?
So that's a good question, and this came up today, and we weren't able to run the title work. The most I found was we had an article that we purchased it in 2007. The property was subsequently sold in 2009, 2020, and 2024. So I need to go through the deeds to see what was reserved when that land changed hands, which department owned it, and whether it was sold back, and kind of trace the title of that particular piece of property, because from what I was able to find, we purchased the sign and the facade, but then when the real property changed hands, I don't know what that looks like yet.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, as I told Public Works, I don't ever want to do anything cross-threaded. I want to do it right, and, so I'm going to withdraw this amendment for now, and when you gather that information, please get it to me. I want to have some conversations with the administration about what we do with it for good.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory. There's a motion to withdraw regular amendment number 2.
So move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of withdrawing amendment number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Alderman Gregory, I'd like to talk to you about that as well, because I have some history that in my little mind here, I think I remember correctly, so we'll chat.
I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Metzger, are those all of the amendments that are being proposed on paper here this evening?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, thank you. Can you get us the fund balance after everything's, you can just send it out. You don't have to tell us tonight. I know you got to do some figuring and get your calculator burning and that. So I'd appreciate if you could what our fund balance will be at the end of proposed fund balance at the end of this budget. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Alderman Hanauer. Alderman Gregory.
Yes, my only comments with this budget, I'm gonna vote for it and we're gonna pass it. But I would say to our department heads and everyone, next year, probably need to hold off on equipment and personnel changes and all that, because it's getting tight. And we don't wanna put, the city in any position to take on debt, raise taxes, et cetera. I just think we need to hold for a second until we get the sports complex going, see how that works with us, get some revenue going and stuff, so we can avoid tough decisions in the future. And that's my spiel. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory. Alderman Williams.
Yes, is the CWOP director here?
Brown.
Mr. Brown, yes. Can you come up, please? I had a question. I didn't really know where to fit this in at, but do you recall the U.S. EPA going into consent agreement with them?
Yeah, I think we talked about what was it, like a month ago, maybe? I think we had something.
Yeah, so my concern was, and you may have to show me, in looking at your budget and looking at the budget as a whole, I didn't see where we had funding to start, complying to the consent agreement.
Yeah, most of that, the way I understand it, is it was with basically the engineering companies that we've hired to do a lot of the the ash pond type work and stuff like that. So all the things that we're doing, I mean, we've already started doing things too, already to make sure that we were complying, because these were all things that, basically, if they would have told us, like, I'm trying to remember the timeline, but maybe 6 years ago or so, we would have been complying then. So it was actually kind of sad that they took that long to actually review the stuff and then wait to finally, develop something for us. But, so yeah, we're going to comply with that using the engineering firm that we've hired to do the work.
Okay, so it won't be a part of any of the other funds where we're contesting them on other matters and things?
No.
This will definitely be something
it's
that
all-
we're going to do, and the money's there to comply.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further questions? Alderman Williams? No. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt 2025-096 as amended.
For the debate agenda?
For the debate agenda, please.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the 2025-096, which is the annual appropriation ordinance of the City of Springfield for fiscal year beginning March 1st, 2025 and ending February 28th, 2026. Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, will you please read the next ordinance?
2025-097, an ordinance accepting the agreement with Birch Creek Development LLC for the purchase of all MISO Zone 4 capacity from the solar energy installation for 3 years in the amount not to exceed $8,300,250 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Before we move along, I would be remiss if I didn't say, I meant to say this earlier, I want to welcome with us this evening, we have the Capital Area Association of Realtors Leadership Class. If you will stand and please be recognized, and let's give them a big round of applause for being here this evening. Thank you very much for being here. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to come before this committee of the whole this evening? Alderman Gregory.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Ethan or Mr. Purchasing, could you, you don't have to come up, but can any one of you give me some numbers on our Pillsbury project as far as minority contractors and things of that nature? Is that in whose wheelhouse? Can you get that? It wasn't on my sheet. Okay. All right. I think that's very, very important. That's going to be something that, from here on out, that I'm really, really going to pay attention to closely. Not only minority workforce, but the dollars that's going to the minority workforce. I don't want to, talk about the numbers, but we have to get better, on the local side and on the minority side.
Right. We'll,
Sir,
Chris
could you please
Richmond,
identify
President
yourself?
of
Thank
Moving
you very much,
Pillsbury
Chris.
Forward. We had a little email back and forth earlier today in regards to that. We've gone to request for proposals a couple months ago. We're getting contracts signed this month. This week, we've got a couple out there. We've had very little work at the site that's been paid for to date. Frankly, most of the work at the site's been volunteer work. So there are very few employees to date associated with, to pull together those numbers for you for what we've done to date. But certainly, we've got a PLA in place. We're following, we've got HUD money in play. We've got EPA money in play, Davis-Bacon wage scale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we will be keeping close track of those numbers through our project manager with our engineering firm, and we will certainly make those available as we have the contractors on site doing work. We'll be getting internally, we'll be getting monthly updates on all those.
Okay, and like I said, I'm just general questions and things. I know that you have done some work. You tore down some sheds and things of that nature. Correct. You sent us some emails that some demo has happened. Am I correct in that?
Right.
And do you have any numbers as far as what that looks like, local minority workforce?
It's of folks we've hired over the last 3 years since we've owned the site. Depends on how you want to calculate that, but it's probably in the 50% range right now of folks we've had doing, lawn mowing, that sort of work that we've had to pay for outside contractors, that sort of thing, and minority contractors as well.
All right. I appreciate you. That's just some of my questions. I know, it just sets off alarms when you say, hey, I love it, right? A minority from Chicago, but we have to focus in on Springfield.
Sure.
We have to make sure we get local workforce, and we have to make sure we get people from the community working on these jobs. So that's very, very important. Thank you.
We understand. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman. Anything further?
No.
Alderman Williams.
Yes, thank you. No, not Pillsbury. I'm satisfied for now.
Get
This is
him
for
down.
Director Brown again, if he could come up, please. So I have a constituent, and it looks like the constituent is concerned that we awarded a contract to Hillsborough, and because Viper closed down, as you know, but the constituent is saying that the trucks no longer use the interstate. They're using the Lake Drive. And this is something that I want to respond and say, well, we can't control which road, but I did want to hear from you, your thoughts on that.
I don't know. I haven't heard that they were going down
So
a
she says
different way
the
to another
coal
interstate.
semis are now using East Lake instead of the interstate. In addition to the noise and safety issues caused by this, they are also going to damage, and Fuchs, you need to hear this, your roads by using, in other words, she thinks those trucks are inappropriate for East Lake Drive. So what I'm asking both directors really is that something we can even control?
I'll look into it.
Thank you. Please email me. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Hold on. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon, too.
Alderman Cox.
Thank you. I apologize, Mr. Chair. Jeff Cox, we haven't met yet, but we've exchanged some emails, so nice to finally meet you in person. This is obviously going to hit my ward big time if they're going up and down East Lake Shore Drive. I haven't gotten any complaints yet, but I think this is all very, very recent. So any correspondence, can you please keep me included on that, too? I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any further questions from
Yeah.
Alderman
No,
Williams
I
or
just-
Cox?
and
Alderman
Dave,
Rockford.
Yeah, and Director Fuchs, that's also the county road, East Lake Drive, so you may want to
Yes.
Some of that.
share that, with them also.
Yeah.
Good call.
Thank you, Alderman. Anything further? Okay, any further unfinished business to come before the committee this evening? Hearing none. Any new business from the council this evening? If you could, after you speak, please take your name off because I'm not sure who to call on here. Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. As we wrap up Black History Month, I wanted to inform the entire city of Springfield that you are more than welcome to come to our first Taste of Black Springfield this Thursday, February 27th, from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Salvation Army Community Center, which is located at 1600 East Clear Lake. Experience the best of the local Black-owned food, music, and fun. It's free entry from barbecue to soul food, sweet treats, and the lineup sounds very delicious, so I hope to see my colleagues out. It's from 5 to 8, and everyone is welcome from the community, and we're looking forward to it. It has gotten an overwhelming amount of response to be supportive. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. Alderman Purchase, I want to tell you, I've seen the vendors coming for that, and I'm very excited for Thursday night.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. And I was just wondering, just to kind of continue on that, if our communications director, Haley, could come up for a minute and just talk about what's going on at the Springfield Library this weekend.
2 o'clock.
So this is actually a library program, so I am going to give this to Miss Gwen, although I have been assisting her quite a bit with design and things like that, but this is actually a library program, so I'm going to let Miss Gwen talk about it.
I was worried she was still hot about the bookmobile. I don't want to.
Oh, no, this is her program.
So this Friday, you are all invited to Lincoln Library to celebrate Black History with a special program. This program will highlight the significant achievements, including the most Black alder people that have ever served simultaneously at the Springfield City Council, the highest number of Black directors appointed to a mayor's cabinet in Springfield's history, and the most significant representation of Black officers in the Springfield Police Department's history. So we are going to be celebrating this this Friday from 1 to 3. Click on the QR code and get registered because the Carnegie Room North can only hold so many people.
There's only 20 seats left, so
Okay.
we have had a lot of support, so it's really great.
It's going to be a nice program. We're going to have artistic expression and a little trio on the back playing some music for us, so it's going to be very, very classy.
Yes.
So.
And free food. I know that's usually what
you
brings
go.
people in. There's free food, so
Say
make sure you
less.
sign up.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Any more questions?
No, thank you very much for coming up.
Thank you
for
so much.
organizing
Please
this.
sign up and come.
Yes.
Thank you. Anything further,
Thank you.
Alderwoman?
No, thank you, Chair.
Anyone else have any new business on the council? I know Mr. Posey wants to come up and say a few words under new business. Mr. Posey, Director Posey.
Good evening, everyone. Also in celebration of Black History Month, bass baritone Mikal Dawson Connor will be performing his own arrangement of spirituals at the Hoagland Center for the Arts, which is at 420 South 6th Street, Springfield, Illinois, on Friday, February 28th at 7 p.m. The concert is sponsored by Velma L. Carey Family Fund, and the Hoagland Center would like to say that for anyone who supports the African American History Museum, when you purchase your tickets, you can use the code AAHM25 to receive $10 tickets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Posey. Any further new business to come before the council? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk, citizens' request to address the committee of the whole this evening.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we have broke this down. There's people who have signed up for the committee and also have signed up for the special meeting, so they'll be separate. There is, I think we have one that's signed up for both, but we'll, I'll get you both those.
Okay,
So the
please.
first person to speak is Brianna Ellers.
Hello, hi again. I just wanted to come up and I just wanted to say that I am so proud and so thankful that Nehemiah Holmes is going forward because that is amazing for the community. I also wanted to say that I understand when it comes to the tiny homes, but we do need to look at low barrier housing. We need to see about not having any rules in order to just stay in a place. The very basic need of survival is shelter. Kids can't focus at school when they're living in hotel rooms, and I cannot tell you how many kids we have in this city that are living in hotel rooms. It's sad. It's really sad. I didn't write anything out, obviously. So, so some things that I wanted to point out whenever it comes to the unhoused. We all know that I was very, very close myself to being there. So I went from going to the bread line and being able to eat twice a day to now I go to work. I don't have access to food during the day. So like right now I feel really, really like shaky, lightheaded because I'm food insecure at home. I don't have food now. I don't have access to it. The food pantries are open while I'm at work, which means my children no longer have access to food. So whenever I'm coming up here and I'm talking about our unhoused folks, I'm not trying to say that like I need you to work miracles, but we do need to look at the very basics. The very basics of there is a huge gap. I understand that we have DHS. I understand that there are Medicaid, there's Link. There's people who don't get that. And they're going out on the streets now, and then all of a sudden they can apply for it because they're out on the street. But then once they work themselves back up, what do? We just fall right back down. And we don't have anybody. There's no supports there. Like I myself, and I'm finding that there are some supports, but I'm wondering what the city's doing, because it's all private, and it's all who you know. Like 100%, it is who you know. If you don't know the right people, you can't get access to the right services that you need, especially if you're not vocal about it. If you're too ashamed to even acknowledge that you have a problem, which is a huge amount of our society, then you're not capable of reaching out and even asking for help. And then you're stuck falling. And what are we doing? How are we going to implement things to catch people? Whenever I said I had to pull strings in order to get my own house, and I said that I shouldn't have had to do that, because there should have already been something in place. There should have been something in place municipality-wise. Because why do I have to rely on a stranger whenever I'm supposed to rely on my government? But I can't trust my government to pick me up because my government doesn't even offer it. And that's what's happening right here. Yeah, I'm going to end it with that. I implore you, please look at low barrier housing. I understand there are humans that are difficult to work with. I get it. But those humans won't be so difficult to work with if they just have a small space. So I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Eilers. Mr. Clerk, who's next this evening?
Ken Pecha.
Geisha?
I wanted to take the time to encourage everybody to consider how the city communicates with its citizens and also how the citizens communicate with you. I'm going to take a moment to apologize to you, Mayor Misty Boucher. I do apologize for the conduct last week of one of the public speakers. I don't think that's the right way for anybody to get their point across. Political violence is not acceptable. That is not how any of us comport ourselves. We all agree that we can have a civil, diplomatic discussion about the things that upset us, even if we raise our voices and curse at each other, things like that. But making a physical intimidation threat towards anybody is not acceptable. That's not how you get your point across. So I did want to take that time because while you and I do disagree on, I'm sure, a number of things, I'm sure we could agree on other things, but I don't think that's the right way for anyone in the public to approach you. I will say, though, that I do think that on the public end, I think there's a lot of people in the city who feel that they're not heard. And I don't, again, think that that's the right way to approach that, but I think as a council, you guys should really consider how the public feels that they're heard by you guys. I've come here week after week after week about those massage parlors, and I am very, very much not alone anymore, I'm sure, in bugging you guys about it. Those parlors, a lot of them still remain open. I can still find ads online. And some of the ones that are still very much closed still admit clients every day. I'm not sure what else we as a city need to do, but people do feel desperate about that situation. I mean, you have people actively surveilling and monitoring these situations, trying to publicly expose the Johns and shame them online. I mean, that's a dangerous situation. I think we can all agree that that kind of thing could go wrong very quickly. But that's where we're at as a public body, is that people feel that kind of inclination to do something about it. Because whether or not everyone agrees on what's happening in those parlors, I'm sure there's people who disagree with me classifying them as rape parlors, but that goes into whether or not you agree with how consent works. And I think that's part of the problem, is that we're getting into this discussion of the finer line when these parlors remain open. And the city's communication with the public about it is medium at best. What's happening now? Nobody knows. Only you guys do. And I think that's where, again, you're leaving people with a lot of uncertainty. And I think one thing that all of us abhor is uncertainty. Not knowing the answers, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing what's going to be done. Especially when it comes to a city with as many resources and available ways to absolutely affect the outcome directly as this one. And again, I think that goes into a lot of ways. I mean, we're going to move towards summer a lot quicker than we used to. I don't even need this jacket. I mean, I probably overdressed. And that's going to keep happening as global warming and climate change become more effective. You can disagree with me as to whether or not it exists, but I think as a city, you're going to start seeing that more and more. Crime goes up in warm weather. Traffic gets worse in warm weather. People have more problems in warm weather. And it's going to keep getting worse. What are we doing currently to confront the idea of the unhoused issue that will absolutely again explode when it's warm enough again outside for people to go outside and set up? I haven't seen one thing introduced the entire winter about it. And I know that you guys are working hard on other issues, and I'm not trying to tell you should fix every problem, but I feel like that's a pretty big one. It was one of the big reasons I started showing up here. And nothing has changed since then on that front as a city as to what we're going to do when the weather gets warm and people start showing up again. The police department's not going to arrest them. We're not going to pass an ordinance to arrest them, right? So what do we as a, I sure hope not. But as a city, well, I'm just noting, it's not an attack on Alderman Purchase. It's not meant to be a slight on the previous ordinance. It's just the comment, though, that what have we done since then to avoid that outcome? In that time frame, Peoria has introduced an ordinance like that. We as a city have done nothing to change that outcome from hitting us right in the face again. So I encourage you guys to start doing more proactive work to plan ahead for these outcomes that we know are coming. The federal government is in absolute disarray. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. If you don't see what's happening right now and think that things are going to trickle down here, in terms of our funding, our outcomes, our resources, I'd get worried if I were you guys. Because I know we don't have a huge amount of our budget tied to federal funds, but we got a lot of big projects tied to it. So what are we going to do as a city to confront those issues, right? I mean, quite frankly, this is going to happen. This isn't guesswork. This isn't me building a conspiracy out of matchsticks and dreams. These are real problems that will hit us directly as a city, and I'll be here to remind you guys about them. So I encourage you to start being, again, more proactive to do something about it, because people like Brianna are not going to be alone. As things get worse, as they talk about cutting SNAP and other funding like that that's going to leave people without real resources, I don't know, guys, I'd start getting worried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pasha.
Reed
Mr. Clerk?
Roberts.
Reed Roberts, going once, going twice, 3 times. Mr. Clerk?
Zach Long.
Long?
Good evening, committee board members.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us here. I just wanted to first start by
Mr.
saying
Long,
that.
could you pull the mic up?
Put us up? Yeah, for sure. Can y'all hear me better now? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
I would first like to just address the body as a whole. As somebody that is on the Sonia Massey, one of the work groups, I would really encourage and implore most of our elected officials, if not all, to please start coming to those because they're very important. We do need, you know what I'm saying, committee input as far as, you know, our town goes and our city, because even though you guys are city elected officials, you are a part of the county, and that affects us. So, you know, we would really like to see that kind of support. Secondly, I kind of had some things that I was going to go into, but I kind of wanted to address my Alderwoman, Alderwoman Conley. You know, I think we crossed paths a couple of weeks ago at my job at Planned Parenthood, where you did say you didn't remember me, but, you know, that's okay. I know you guys see a lot of people, but we did, you know, cross paths on Facebook, and we kind of expressed about some things that I wanted to talk about, and you never got back with me on that. But, you know, I'm going to start coming more to these and kind of putting your feet to the fire, so to speak. You know, I don't know what the reason, and I guess, for coming to Planned Parenthood was. I would hope that you are giving whatever was given to you as far as what we need as an organization to your other fellow council members. If not, I can definitely push that budget a lot, because we do need things. I don't know what all you guys can do, but I know that we do need things, and Planned Parenthood is definitely an essential organization for this community, not just for abortion care, which is health care, regardless of what people might think, because you're not going to get rid of abortion, you're just going to get rid of safe abortions. Secondly, we do need to look at, you know, trying to possibly get things out to the community so they can get tested for certain diseases and things like that, because a lot of people, unfortunately, don't have the resources to maybe get to the clinic, or if they do go to other places like the public health department or Springfield Clinic, a lot of the things that they want to get tested for, they're not able to get tested for. So maybe that's something that we can put into, you know, into effect in some kind of way. I don't know how that really works, but I'm really willing to work with all of you or whoever I need to try to get that accomplished. You know, I see a lot of things that do need to be worked on the east side, you know, that I feel like a lot of things that I'm going to kind of vote on this, I could vote on this, and you really don't. And I feel like there are a lot of, you know, common sense things that could be voted on that a lot of other people have voted on that you really might not have. But I just don't really see much from you as an alderwoman, and I'm not, like I said, this is no personal attack, this is just what I see, because I've lived on the west side of Springfield for my entire life, was born and raised there, from over on Witherspoon all the way over to where I'm at on Durkin Drive, and I see the same things that I've seen. I'm 37 years old now, I've seen the same things deteriorate over time since I was like 6, 7 years old. And, you know, there's just a lot of things that I feel like that you're not taking into consideration as far as the ward goes. I have talked to other constituents in our ward about things, and a lot of them are really, they feel left behind by you, if I may. You know, I feel like a lot of support that you did have, you have not, you're no longer have. Like I've talked to a lot of people that are involved with Planned Parenthood as far as the organization goes, that believed in you, or whatever the situation is, even as far as like constituents just out and about and different things. I do question those things, because I think as a concerned constituent of yours, those are issues that we need to bring to you if you're not being challenged. And I feel like nobody really comes up here and challenges you, just because there's so much that goes on in the wards of, you know, Alderman Gregory and Alderman Williams that need way more attention than what it does on the west side. But just like they need things, we need things as well. And I just don't really feel like you're doing the best job that you could. You know, so I just implore you to really kind of do better. I implore everybody to do better, because I feel like we all can do better as people, as a community. You know, I don't know. I just, like I say, I would really like to see you a lot more active in the community, and I don't really feel like you are. I feel like you came to Planned Parenthood just to show your face, because your feet kind of been to the fire over the last couple of weeks over the non-votes of things that you do, and that's not going to win anybody's vote over for you. So I'm just saying, I would get it together before somebody gets you out of that seat. So,
thank you, Mr. Long.
Thank you.
Yes, Alderwoman Conley.
No, Zach, don't go away. I just wanted real quick.
I'll pull it again.
No, it's okay, because you raised some points, and I understand that. I think you have my phone number.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So we can talk that way too, but I will tell you, and I'm not going to get into full details of what we talked about for Planned Parenthood, but one of the biggest concerns that I've had for that facility and for residents who use that and people who come to our community to use that facility is safety and security, not only of the people who are coming in and needing healthcare services, but also for the people who work there.
I would agree. I would say I've been there for 2 years, and to be honest, our safety has never really been a care of anybody in the city, including the police department, including anybody as far as an alderperson goes, because when we call the police about things that possibly go wrong, we either get told to call back or you have an officer that goes and sits across the street when things possibly can go awry. Or you have people come in whenever we have medical emergencies, or if we do have a police officer come in, they're giving us dirty looks, they're shaking their heads because they might disagree with what we do. All I would say is I would really implore anybody that has disagreements in Planned Parenthood, really do your research about Planned Parenthood, because we do so much more than what people really think that we're up there doing, and it really helps our community, from transgender rights to women's rights to reproductive health to all kinds of things. There's people that don't even have primary care physicians that come to our facility just to get, pap smears and things of that nature. And we're losing funding. And we need funding drastically. Not saying that you guys can do that, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I would really implore everybody to push the importance of Planned Parenthood, because Planned Parenthood, everybody knows about Planned Parenthood. Like, we're at the point.
Well, and I would say I push back a little bit. I don't think enough people do know. I don't think that enough people understand the critical health care delivery that Planned Parenthood provides in our community. And yes, it's not in Ward 8, so I hadn't been to the facility itself, but I have actually been a supporter of Planned Parenthood for a very long time, before I was on council even. I think I understand that is a role that people get confused with. They consider, we've had a lot of conversation nationally about what women's health care looks like, and I know the critical function that Planned Parenthood provides. So we can talk a little bit about it more, but I thank you for coming in. I will point out, Women's Month is coming up, and I think this is a topic, having more conversations around what does it mean to have real meaningful and thoughtful, comprehensive health care for women. And that's what you provided. That is a big part of what those services are. I was actually educated. I didn't realize how much of a role Planned Parenthood has in supporting our trans community, and I think
I mean, there's a lot of people. Like I said, if anybody would like to know, like I'm there in and out every day except the weekend. So like I see it from all spectrums. Like I see people and families and how it affects people. I see people who might not agree with certain things that go on, but they are there for their family member who might be a transgender person or a family member who might have an abortion. I see people that come there that might not even agree in abortion, but they have to get it medically. Those things really happen, regardless of what people may think. Like, those things really happen. I see plenty of women on a daily basis who are coming there not just because they just using it for birth control. And I think a lot of people get that misconstrued and think that that's what we're here for. And again, even if that's what that woman is coming there for, you're not going to stop her from doing whatever she's going to do. You're just closing the door to something that can do it safely. Because anybody's going to go find when just healthcare costs. When anybody wants to go get a surgery, the first place they want to do is go out of states to get some kind, or out of the country to get some kind of botched surgery. And we don't need that because it's going to cause a lot of problems. But I just would like you to be more, I guess, involved in our community on Ward 8. Ward 8 that's where I've grown up at. That's all I know. And like I said, since 2019, I don't really feel like, up until last September when all of the displaced people's ordinance came up, that's really the only time that I've seen you kind of out and about. I don't really see anything about, like, community involvement as far as, like, hey, we're gonna have like a national neighborhood night or anything like that. I don't see any of those things. And if those are going on, please educate me, because I'm not here to do any attacks. But I feel like I'm very, like, well versed in social media enough to know that I can look through things and find different things, just like with everything that Alderwoman Purchase was saying about Thursday with the the Taste of Blackness. They've been blasting that all over Facebook everywhere. So
I will admit, I am not the best at social media, and I will tell you, anymore. I think
Social media don't
is
have to
one
be
of
the only
most
outlet.
unsocial things
We
we
can
do.
knock on doors, we can go pass out flyers, we can do things.
Point of order, point of order.
Yeah,
Let her
let's
finish
move
that.
along. Alderman
Thank
Greg.
you very
No
much.
problem.
Sorry.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Alderman
your
Gregory,
time.
did you have a
Zach,
comment or question for Mr. Long?
So
Yes.
I hear your call for some of us, all of us from this city council to come and meet with y'all. I've spoken to Bree and multiple people, and I don't have a huge problem with that, but I think it would be, I can't think of the word, but the county has 20, I made Ms. Linda, 29 members. And before we come, and give our opinions, I think we have to start there with those county board members. Miss Linda Douglas Williams is in the back now. She's a county board member. Because we can come and we can give our opinions on that situation.
I guess not necessarily the county board meeting, but like the commission
Right.
meetings or
That's
like
what
the
I'm
work
saying.
group committees, because they're open to anybody.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. We're city aldermen, and the county runs just so much different, right?
And I understand
So
that.
some of the things that they do within that body are just totally different from how we do it in this body. I'm gonna come. I forget what day I agreed to come, but I'm gonna come and speak with everyone. That situation is, has really put a different light on within our community and just safety. So I don't mind it. I'm sure other council members won't mind it, but we want to see those from the county, go before us and speak and stuff, because I can come in there and be like, hey, they need to do this, and that, and you got 29 or how many ever board members to
And not
to
even,
vote
I
on
guess,
it.
not even just to get them, like, because I know that, that's a conflict of interest
I
type thing. Just coming as a constituent of the county, not necessarily even coming as as a council member. Just coming like, hey, I'm just coming here as a concerned constituent of the county, because, even though you guys are city council members, you are part of the community and a part of the county board member, and have somebody of a county board committee that runs your district or whatever, so that's all I was saying.
Well,
Not saying that anybody can make any
I just want to get clarity, because I've stayed away from coming to the meetings and voicing any opinions out of respect for those many county board members that I do respect and people who put that together. Because from a city perspective, we're not perfect by far with what we need to do in law enforcement, but we didn't hire Sean Grayson when he tried.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he tried,
Absolutely.
it was those are the type of rules and stuff that we are in place, and we steady are looking for ways to improve along with our police department. So, I think I'll be there next week.
I appreciate that. I just think, and I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to
that's fine.
take up time,
I know
but
you.
just knowing that, I work closely with Sante, that's one of Sonia's cousins, and I think it would really mean a great deal if every one of y'all would really come up. Like, I think that would mean something, like I said, even if it ain't nothing but just to show your face and be supportive, I think that would really do something, for everybody.
All right.
Thank
So
you,
that's
Mr.
why I was asking. I wanted to get clarity, because I don't want to come and be like, they need to do this and that, because I can get rolling, but I don't think that's appropriate for them. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate
All right, thank you.
All right, thank y'all, appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Alderman Gregory. Thank you, Mr. Long. Mr. Clerk?
Vanessa Knox.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm speaking on my own behalf here. I'm very concerned about, I believe it's a perception issue, about the massage parlors and the human trafficking that's going on. I know that 11 were recently shut down. But if any of you guys know anything about human trafficking, shutting down one, you're not seeing probably 10 others. And it just doesn't seem that there's a tenacity from this group, as there is with so many other issues. You guys have stayed here till 10 and 11 o'clock at night on so many other things, building and zoning issues, all these things. Well, this is a human issue. And it needs to be taken a little bit more seriously, I believe. The fines that have been given out, I'm asking that they be doubled or tripled. that's not going to be a drop in the bucket for those people. On the east side of town, we had threats of fines for a couple shingles missing from garages. And these people are getting $700 fines for having human traffic victims inside. Something's wrong with that. An 80-some-year-old gentleman, his steps were a little bit crooked on a home that he owned, and I believe the fine was up to $1,500. These are voiceless people that are in basements, back of buildings, back of garages, all kinds of different buildings they're in, regular homes, and they're suffering. They're suffering real bad. And they're depending on people like you guys, and they're depending on Springfield PD and Sangamon County officers to care about this issue. The perception of people that are in massage parlors selling their services that are not legal services is terrible. I've heard people refer to them as party girls. Every immigrant issue you can think of, it's not an immigrant issue. It's not a gender issue. There are boys in these buildings. There are little, small children in these buildings that are boys and girls. And there are elderly in these places as well. So sometimes when we have a perception from TV, radio, other family members who we hang out with, think about this, the little 5-year-olds that you know. Everyone in here knows a 5-year-old from somewhere. Everyone in here knows an elderly aunt, uncle, grandparent of some sort. I want you to think about if they were in these situations with human trafficking. Some people's perception looks at them, as I said before, as party girls. Some of these people were taken from college campuses. They were thrown in trunks. Some of them were just walking through the parks. They were promised different things to have more money in legal ways. They were promised properties. They were promised all kinds of different things, and they didn't get that. They got a life of what nightmares are made out of. So I'm asking that you take it very, very, very seriously. I appreciate the ones who have spoke up on this issue and have enforced fines, but that's a very, very small amount from where we need to be at with this issue. I appreciate the neighborhoods that did say something about it. A lot don't say anything about it. Your silence in this situation kills people. It hurts people for the rest of their lives and their families. Every single person that is being human trafficked in all these buildings and houses, they are somebody's mom, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, brother, parent. All of them are somebody. They are not drug addicted, all of them, when they come, but that's part of the human trafficking system, is to make them drug addicted, and they will not want to leave. They will be stuck there. So I'm asking you to influence your perception that this is not an immigration issue or a race issue. When Dateline did their special on this, and they've done several of them, they had 5-year-olds that were doing sex acts. It was filmed. They knew. And the people that come to keep them in business, some were judges, some were doctors. They're not just regular Joe Blows. These are people going out of their way to entertain human trafficking. So I'm asking you to use your power to help stop this in a much bigger and better way.
Thank you, Ms. Knox.
Chair.
The clerk? Yes, I'm sorry, Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa, for coming and sharing that. And me and Brad, we do a weekly call with Chief of Staff Mike Disco, and I believe we asked you about it, but we're constantly bringing those questions up and asking, hey, what is currently going on? If Corporation Counsel Mordock can share it. As you know, from, like you said, we had meetings till 10 o'clock midnight when that encampment ordinance came up. After hearing from the public and saying that we only speak to certain people, we don't speak to other people, it was asked that we don't continuously do that so that we look very transparent. We're not really supposed to be talking right now, but like you said, it looks like we're silenced or we're not saying anything and showing you that we care. But I just want to assure you, at least for our weekly call that we have every week, we're asking Chief of Staff Mike Disco, can we get an update? What's going on? Can you guys provide that to the public? So I don't want you to think that we're just sitting up here just looking at you guys and not paying attention. We are. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Very serious issue. Thanks again, Ms. Knox, for being here. Mr. Clerk?
Robert Frazier.
Frazier? I don't see him. Mr. Clerk?
April Poole.
April is here.
Good evening.
Evening.
April Poole, 3061 Buena Vista Drive, Springfield. Proud Ward 4 resident, even prouder Twin Lakes resident. But tonight I represent the Coalition of Rainbow Alliances. It is time, and I'm a little late this year. I will admit I've had some family issues that I've had taken care of, and also had a bout of COVID. For the very first time. So, I'm a little late this year, but some of you I have spoken with. The Coalition of Rainbow Alliances is having their annual dinner dance coming up on March 15th at the Crown Plaza at 5:30 at night is when till 11. Registration starts at, check-in starts at that point in time. Dinner is like at 6:30. We have dinner, we give out awards, and we have dancing. Now, we all know that March 15th is the day that we will be downtown showing our Irish. So, while you're showing your Irish in the morning or in the early afternoon, we would like for your support out at the Crown Plaza to support the LGBT community. Now, there has been some allegations in the whether the city will support the LGBT community. I would like to say thank you to Mayor Busher, who has already sent in her letter of welcome to all who will attend. We have everyone knows who has attended. We have this nice booklet and program that we give out, and it shows the support from you all and the Springfield Visitors Bureau and many other people, and I believe our nice Springfield police officers, and I'm working on the fire chief back there, are also going to be showing their support in their attendance that evening. So you may be asking, the Coalition of Rainbow Alliances is in their 25th year. We are starting our 25th year. It's a nonprofit volunteer group that facilitates networking for the Central Illinois LGBTQIA communities, all other sexual and gender minorities, their families, friends, and interest groups that support them. Now, you may go, what does that all mean? Last year, we spent nearly $11,000 in support of various organizations and groups in this city and Central Illinois. We have where we supported Juneteenth, Black Lives Matter, Habitat for Humanity, APL, the Holy Family Inclusive Church, Special Olympics, JC's. We also helped with the most recent Martin Luther King nonviolence protest training. We also do holiday meals for our seniors who are who are vulnerable, who are either in Springfield Housing Authority or who get Meals on Wheels, daily bread. We also have helped with the PB&J Springfield, where we make just simple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We assist with Springfield Pride Fest, with the Phoenix Center, Juneteenth, Fifth Street Renaissance. We help out at the Central Illinois Community Food Bank when they distribute food. We're just all over. We want to show the community and the world, state, world, everyone, that the LGBT community is just like everyone else. We want to move everyone forward, everyone to be successful, everyone to be healthy, and everyone to be happy. So please see me about helping out at the gala. The theme for this year is words to live by. Some of our artwork shows those nice little, where they show all the little words. We've got sharing, supportive, helpfulness, strength, love, equality. That's what we need in this community, and that's what we need to show everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. Mr. Clerk?
Ann Logue. For this one.
So this is climate change. And the global temps have risen steadily since 1950, along with the greenhouse gas emissions. Along with this, we've gone from 3 billion in 1960 to 8 billion as of now. If you could pass this around.
Sure.
So I'm just here to remind you that we have a responsibility to cut down on the carbon emissions and the greenhouse gas emissions. And once it gets past 1.5% globally, we're going to become closer and closer to not being able to reverse the rising temps. And that means locally we need to cut down on our carbon. On a personal note, I have a niece that's transgender. The political climate right now is really toxic about that. I just felt obligated to let you guys know that transgender is something that people do not choose. This great niece of mine comes from a very good home. Her parents were missionaries, banker, nurse, some of the most normal, boring people you'd ever want to meet. And the older brother of this transgender child was the greatest advocate. And that's because he watched the child grow up and face these challenges. It takes a lot of courage to make this process, make this transition, and we shouldn't shame them or erase them as what is being done right now. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ann.
That's all we
Mr.
have.
Clerk, that's all we have this evening. Thank you. Hold on, is there a need for an executive session this evening, Mr. Corporation Counsel?
There's no need.
There's no need for executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole? Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Don't forget, we got a meeting real quick.
We got another.
Okay, we have a council meeting. Yep.
Don't run.
There's no way we were taking 5.
Mr. Clerk, what do you need? 10 minutes? 5 minutes? 5 minutes.
Yeah, you and I starts in 45 minutes, huh? We can actually do this.
Yep. No, he's out here.